Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Chafing Armor Podcast. I am Dare. I am your dungeon master for this adventure, and we are here to scratch your itch for role-playing adventure. Tonight, I am joined by Michael. Michael, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael. I am your lovable player, not dungeon master, and I'm so excited that Dare's agreed to take on the reins and go for it. Tonight, I will be playing the Dragonborn Bard, Elias Heartstrings.
Yes, and our wonderful bard, who we have just met, has found his way into the city on the cliffs, Jormungand, where it is one of the 10 dragon cities that are in the far east of our world of Chafing Armor. And so he has just climbed aboard the airship Fancy Guppy, which is getting ready to take off and head to the capital of the 10 cities, Toropolis. Boy, I'm going to have a hard time repeating that. I wrote it out, and that's going to be quite a mouthful. We may have to shorten that down to just Kirisk. All right. So, Elias has come on board and has just met Captain Krerex, and we'll go from there. So Krerex turns towards Elias and says, "Welcome aboard, Elias. Thank you for volunteering to help with the security on this mission. Monet, Chief Minister to Skulpatl, has assured us that your skills will help safeguard the magical remedy for the necromantic plague that we are taking to the capital city to be duplicated and distributed among all the city-states. So go and stow your gear below, and while I make preparations to take off. Is there anything you need before we leave?"
If it is quite all right, I'm sure your security is top-notch and all is well done. May I visually inspect the cargo that we are taking?
Of course. He leads you over to the middle of the deck, pulls a long wooden handle, and you see trap doors raise up, and you hear some chains clinking as a cargo mover is raised up out of the floor of this ship, and 6 crates full of purple-green vials. They're the size of wine bottles, are stacked neatly and bound together by straps in the middle of this deck.
Okay. I appreciate that. I like I said, I'm sure you have it secured, but it is good to know its initial state so that we know if it's been tampered with.
Well, Master Monet has warned us that there are those that would not want this to reach. There are rumors of this plague being caused by somebody, and so the faster we travel, the better. And so we, as the fastest ship, have been contracted to take you there, and it will take approximately 5 days of flight.
We are definitely going far, for I have never traveled by airship myself, but I know the speed at which you go through the skies.
Yes. We will cross the Great Plains, where the ruins of the old lost city are. We will pass the library city, and then we will reach Kirisk, in approximately 5 days if weather holds.
All right. Then by all means, I am keeping you from your tasks. I will cease doing so, and I will go store my equipment if you have suggested.
And he points you to the stairs below where your bunk will be, your room. And as soon as you turn around, he starts yelling orders. He yells at Ishmael, he yells at the kobolds, and says, "Prepare to take off." And everybody starts scurrying as the engines to the ship start thrumming. Do you go stay below, or do you come back up?
I am going to store everything down below. I have a very small traveler's pack that I just literally just set down in the corner. I pull out a very small locket that I don't even keep on my person. I keep it in my pack, and I look at the small portrait inside, flip it back shut, put it back in the pack. I give my longsword a quick check, but it's already shining from the shining that's done, and I kind of do like a few little flexes, because the truth is, while I have worn chainmail a few times, especially under the instruction of Breen, I'm not really used to it, and so I'm kind of like, I want to like kind of do some stretches and exercises to make sure I don't embarrass myself. And I've got my basic tunic, my loose tunic is worn over the chainmail shirt, so it doesn't quite be so obtrusive. But I do have some thin padding underneath. And I'm going to make my way back up to the top to see the launch off. And my goal is to make my way around and introduce myself to any of the crew and get kind of a measure of them. Because if I was on a mission to stop this, like if this was horrible stuff that was being delivered, I would try to get myself hired on as one of the crew. And so his thinking is, I want to kind of suss this crew out and see if I see anything here that makes me twitch.
Okay. And so as you are getting ready to go back up, across from the bunks is what you can smell is the kitchen, where you see a very large lizard man. And you see him preparing food stowing food and stowing pots and pans. And he sees you and nods as he is very busily stowing pans. And then on your way up the stairs, back up the deck, you were passed by a small kobold. They are all wearing matching uniforms. They all look very similar. And then when you get up to the deck, you see the captain and the first mate up on the upper deck next to what looks to be two bird folk that kind of look like humanoid albatrosses. One has the steering wheel, and one has a little navigator's tool for charting courses. And so you are up on the deck as the ship rises up in the air. Now this ship, you didn't really get a good sense of it because it was surrounded on either side by bigger ships, but this is a very small frigate. It is long and lean. It has a very large circular tail that waves back and forth in the wind magically, sort of propelling you forward, that is joined on these very loose wooden joints that almost looks like a skeleton's tail to a fish, but the wood is carved to look like scales as well. And the paint and the lacquer on the wood shines in the sunlight like giving off rainbow glints of brown in all sorts of colors. And then you have the long narrow of the ship and two masts out to the left and the right like fins with small sails that are adjusted to catch the breeze. And then what it becomes the head of the ship where the main deck is and the captain and the three crewmates are standing looks forward above the prow. So you can either wander the small deck, or you can go up and join the captain.
I'm gonna wander the deck and just walk about. And what I'm just kind of looking for is I'm looking for anything that I'm looking for anyone who seems nervous. I'm looking for anyone who seems furtive, secretive, anyone who looks like they're hiding something, which I know is very generic, but that would be the first thing that Elias would look for, because if this is theoretically, if this is like an underling, they might not be very skilled at deception, but he has no idea. This could be like a highly paid assassin who would be really good at this sort of thing. But that would be the first thing he would look for, is to see if he catches anyone like looking over their shoulder nervously, that kind of thing.
Okay, give me a perception check, active wisdom.
My perception is a 0, and that is a 2. I'm just enjoying the breeze so much. It
is a beautiful day. Yeah, it's gorgeous outside. You've perfect weather for a liftoff. White puffy clouds. You're going along. The birds are clear. You see you're leaving the Sword Sea behind you and heading inland towards the Great Plains.
I think what happens is he is just he is a very practical bard. He's not quite so fanciful as some others, but bards be bardin, and the everything that you just described, this picturesque day, he cannot help himself. He pulls out his mandolin and he starts to sing "It's a Long, Long Way to the Top of the World." And it doesn't sound quite as good without a four-person band, but he starts singing about a young man filled with green, and how it's a long, long way to the top of the world, but only a short fall down. And his voice just echoes through the wind as they go, and he completely forgets to look for anything.
Well, as you're doing that, the kobolds are scurrying around the deck, securing things and adjusting the sails and making sure that the magical tail works properly. And then one of the kobolds stops next to you, watches you, pulls out a mouth harp, and starts playing with you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. He is utterly entranced, and he never played with a mouth harp, and he has no particular skill with a mouth harp, but he remembers one of his band members, Thistlefoot, would sometimes just do like little ditties for kids on a mouth harp, and so he is quite delighted, and he joins in with gusto, like really, really going for it now, really hitting those notes, and just putting on a show. And when it's completed, he kind of gently slaps the kobold on the back and says, "Well, that's some mighty fun playing there, sir. Well, may I have your name?"
And the little kobold goes, "My name is Ashwood. Thank you. These other lovely people that we're traveling with on my crew rarely have the appreciation for my music. So thank you for bringing some culture to us."
Well, it suits me right down to the ground. Where'd you learn to play that, Ashwood?
Oh, I was taught by some folk there in the Cliff City, and they just love to teach music, and so I picked up this and haven't looked back since. I hope to someday be in a band.
Well, as someone who was formerly in a band, thankfully not the band leader, but my wife had that distinction. Um, I cannot recommend it enough, and I tell you what, I'll keep an eye out. Maybe we can put something together. I've been kind of thinking about getting a band together again, and I think you'd be a fine addition if you can learn a little bit of the style that I play with.
Oh, I can. I'm a quick learner. I would love to be in your band with you. I would love to.
Well,
And you see the captain turn around, and the captain goes, Ashwood, get to work! And Ashwood puts the harp away and quickly scampers off to go do whatever sailors do on an airship.
Gotcha. I'll take that moment to come up to the captain and say, I know you must have tread these skies many times. We obviously are expecting potential trouble specifically because of the cargo we carry, but I assume that there are dangers and perils that have nothing to do with it. Is there anything particular I should be keeping an eye out for?
Well, there's always flying creatures out here. We have several harpoons. We have very fast speeds. So usually we do not run into any problems. We can fly over the storms. That's why we were chosen for this particular mission. So I do not expect trouble, but I always expect trouble.
Well said, sir. Well said.
And you hear the Minotaur next to him go, huh, trouble. And you cannot read Ishmael's comment. But the captain looks at Ishmael sideways and just says, that's enough of that.
I will tuck that away for later and make a note that I need to try to catch Ishmael aside when he's not tending to his duties.
And so the two bird folk speak up in turn and go, clear sailing, Captain. We've got clear weather for at least 2 days. And so, Michael, if you would roll me a D4, please.
All right. My sharp little stabby boy here. That is a 1.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. So the rest of the day passes, and nothing quite happens. So the day passes away. It's evening and dinner time. So the captain calls dinner and rings the dinner bell. It's starting to get twilight, and you hear him yell out, "Cookie!" And the cook brings up a cauldron on a little 3-peg stand and brings out some bowls, and it smells good. You smell some good beef stew of some sort. Beef is a loose term in the D&D world. And there's some weak ale, because the captain doesn't want anybody drunk. And potable water is hard to keep. So there's some weak ale for everybody and some stew. And you are welcome to join in at dinner. And everybody either pulls up a piece of floor or some sort of barrel or crate to sit on.
So I will, normally this would be the kind of time where I would try to impress everyone with my mandolin skills, but I want to try to mosey over to Ishmael while he's eating and say, good sir, I have not had the chance to really make the acquaintance of a Minotaur before. Where do you hail from?
I hail from the mountains. From deep, deep in the mountains. But I have left that world behind so I can explore the skies, because I want to fly.
That is a noble goal.
And you see all out of the corner of your eye, you see the kobolds and the captain all look towards him and you, and you see them all trying to cover smiles on their face. You get the sense that this is a speech that he has practiced and said repeatedly to anybody that will listen.
It has been my understanding, and though I have never learned the trick myself, that there are magical means to cause one to fly. Have you ever explored any of those in addition to this fine vessel?
No, I have no talent for the magics of either my tribe or the other races. But I am good and strong, and the captain has given me a place here so that I can fly. Someday I hope to find a ship that can even fly maybe over the moon. That would be my goal. And he finishes his food and he nods to you and gets up and goes back to work. And the captain nods to the crew, and they one by one finish their meal and they get back to work. And the two albatrosses take turns eating and flying the ship.
I want to try to speak to them when I have a moment, and say you must be invaluable on such a ship. Your ability to, as the unfortunate Minotaur cannot fly, must be quite useful if there are any, say, minor repairs during flight.
We are. And you get a sense that they're kind of almost connected in, like they're sharing one mind between the two of them. And they nod at each other in that kind of bird way that other creatures find slightly cute and slightly odd. They're the head bobbing as if they are completing each other's thoughts and sentences. And the first one goes, "I am Tarius, the navigator." And the other one continues on, "I am Ulsus, the pilot. We take turns, and we repair the things of this ship. We magic the crystals, and we fly the ship."
Goodness, I would say that you are the heart and soul of this ship. Would that not be accurate?
We keep it flying. We keep it flying. We keep it flying together.
Most fascinating. And in your years of flying this vessel, have you ever encountered something that would take it from the skies?
Oh no, not in the Dragonlands. There's nothing as fast as us. We've made sure of that.
Well.
So they look very proud, peacock proud. They're the ruffs of the feathers around their necks, the wings on their backs are kind of puffed up. They are very proud of the work they have done on this ship. This ship, you don't know much about it, but they seem to think that it is indeed one of the fastest ships around.
I have absolutely no knowledge of ships. I've certainly been on a few sailing vessels in my time, even going across the sand swallow seas years ago in my band, but I've never been on a ship like this, and it is very impressive. And he's a little intimidated by it. He's also thinking about like that it's be really easy to just throw someone over the edge, or also if things went pear-shaped, that not only would it be able to thrown over the edge, but also if the ship lost its ability to fly, and that for the first time he's realizing he perhaps has a slight not really fear of heights, but a newfound respect of heights, shall we say. as he's realizing how potentially vulnerable they are.
Well, as the sun goes down, Tarius takes out his navigator's tools and charts the sky, and the captain tells Ishmael to go below and bunk down. The captain will take first watch, and the captain calls out, "Cookie, it's time!" And as you've climbed into the air up towards the clouds, it has gotten quite a bit colder. And Cookie comes out with a large red ceramic jug and little metal cups, and goes around to each of the crewmen and pours a little elixir into the tin cup, and each of the kobolds drink it in turn. Then the albatrosses, and finally the captain, and then the cook brings it over to you and offers you some.
Well, I am ever so grateful for this. May I ask what I am ingesting, good sir?
The captain goes, "Why, yes. This is what we use for our night watch. This protects us from the cold."
Oh.
It's just a simple potion of resistance to cold weather.
It is quite ingenious, I might say, and certainly save you a lot on transporting large furs and such on the journey. And when he sees everybody drinking it, he just has no reasonable reason not to, so he drinks it.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
Okay. That is a 3. So with my perception, that is a 3.
Okay. It tastes like a liqueur. It tastes like a sour liqueur. Kind of burns your throat and warms you up as it goes down. It's not particularly pleasant tasting, but you drink it down. And then everything goes on, and night comes, half the crew goes to bed, and you are welcome to bunk down. The captain is taking first watch.
Okay. I will go into my bunk, but I'm going to crack open the door, maybe even like slightly prop it open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing a song of rest. And I know that like no one here is injured, but I know that it is tends to be refreshing to people. And before I take my first full sleep, I'm going to sing a song called "I'm Head Over Heels in Love with You," and it's slightly soulful and heartfelt, but the idea is that it helps everyone rest.
Okay. Roll me a D4, please.
All right. That is a 2.
All right. So, sometime in the early hours of the night, you hear the tramping of the Minotaur's hooves as he goes up to relieve the captain. And as you hear this, around 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not feeling too good.
Yeah. Elias has done a lot of dumb things in his life, and his wife would have told him that he should have given that like one more thought, but he didn't. He didn't think about it at all, and now at first he's trying to tell himself that he's just a little airsick, that it's high up and it's elevation, but when his gut just he's like, oh dang it, he is gonna kind of stand up wobbly and try to get his. He definitely did not go to sleep in his chainmail shirt. That is for certain. he's going to try to get his chainmail shirt on and grab his longsword and mandolin and see if he can find the captain.
Okay. Roll me a... let's see. Let's go with survival.
Ooh.
Roll me a survival check.
That is a 14 plus 2, so a 16.
Okay. So as you are getting things put on, feel like you're running a few. This is a feeling that you are familiar with. This is the second time that you have felt like this in your life. And your gloved hand and scarred body remind you that you have felt like this before.
He goes cold.
Yeah. And as he's climbing the stairs, as you come up there, you find the Minotaur being held at the point of a cleaver.
Can I see who's
the cook?
By the cook.
By the cook.
Okay.
The kobolds and the captain are down on the ground, passed out. The Minotaur, you can tell by his fur, is probably the only person on the crew that did not drink the elixir because he didn't need it for warmth. And so Cookie, the cook, is holding him from the side with a cleaver under his throat.
I'm going to call out to him. I'm going to hold out. My longsword is hastily. It's not even in a scabbard. It's just like stuck down the back of my shirt. Basically, I'm risking cutting myself with it. But I'm holding my hands out. And I'm going to say, Cookie, you don't have to do this. We're friends. And I'm going to cast Charm Person.
Oh, all right. And so that is a wisdom save, right?
That is a 14 wisdom save.
All right, let's see what Cookie does. And the Cookie gets an 8 plus 2, and so fails that. And he is charmed.
And I'm going to hit a few more strings to strengthen the spell, doing just a couple of little notes. I'll never shed another tear, and just to strengthen the magic, and say, Cookie, you don't have to hurt him. He's gonna help us out. He knows what's going on.
And Cookie lowers the cleaver very slowly and is looking at you. And as he lowers his the cleaver from the Minotaur, you see multiple tattoos all over his body. But you see one in particular that you had seen the symbol recently. An eye with a slash through it. Tattooed on the back of his wrist.
Gotcha.
And he is looking confused. And he holds his wrist up to you to show you the tattoo expectantly.
Gotcha. I am going to try to deceive him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb. I'm going to string the thing for a second, and as my hand strings out, I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to make a circle on my chest and a line through it, and just do it with the utmost confidence. Like this, you know what this is. This is you, me, I through slash through it. We're the best. Yeah.
Give me a deception check.
All right. That is a 1. That is a 1. Even with my deception, that's a 7.
Okay. So he looks at you, and even though you have him charmed, he knows that something is wrong. He can't bring himself to act, but he knows something is wrong. So what I would like you to do is roll for initiative.
All right. Let's do this. That is a 16 with my bonus. It's the first time I've looked at it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that is a 19 total.
Okay, he gets a 17. So Elias a 19. Cookie gets a 17. And Ishmael gets a 15.
Okay. As a free action, as I do go first, right?
Yes, you do.
I'm going to turn to Ishmael and say, "We need him alive." As I'm struggling through my gut, as it's twisting awful, and I'm feeling the effects course through my body. I wanna hit this bad boy with a thunder wave so bad, but that'd be the stupidest thing to do here on the top of a ship. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit him with I'm going to start closing the distance. And as I do, I'm going to thrum my mandolin and look dead in the eyes at Cookie and say, "Well, they've betrayed you, haven't they? You're all alone out here. You're gonna die alone." And hit him with vicious mockery.
Ooh. All right.
And that is a 14 to save. Failure, he will get disadvantage on his next attack and take 2d4 psychic damage.
Okay. He rolled a 2, and so he takes 2d4 psychic damage.
That is a 4. Nice. And a 3. So he takes 7 points of psychic damage and will have disadvantage on his next attack roll.
All right.
On his next turn. And I have 1 attack, so the only other thing I'm doing is I'm closing in so that I can move into combat, because my only other offensive spell is too dangerous to use on the thing. And once again, I'm thinking I can hear her voice in my head of just like not preparing for the task at hand. I didn't prepare spells that might be a little better for on a ship, but that's Elias. He does that sometimes. That's the end of my turn.
And so Ishmael turns around and just headbutts Cookie with his massive head, grabs both wrists. We'll see. And he rolled a 13. And so that hits. So that does 8 points of damage. And he is knocked prone.
I bet he is.
And so it is your turn, Elias.
All right. So I am gonna close. I've closed the distance. I'm going to. I don't have my shield with me because I didn't have time to grab it. So I'm gonna. My mandolin is already in my left hand, so I'm gonna reach back, pull out my long sword, and I'm gonna try to bash him across the side of the head with the hilt and do non-lethal damage because I need him alive.
Okay. Roll me an attack.
That is a 15 with a +2, so 17.
That definitely hits.
All right. Of course. And this is one-handed, so that's 1d8 +2. So that is 7 points of non-lethal damage.
All right.
And as a bonus action, still learning my bard stuff. As a bonus action, I want to give bardic inspiration to Ishmael.
Okay.
And I want to say, good sir, that was the finest headbutt that I have ever seen. You are unstoppable. You are going to play him low. Give him
fantastic
1d8 on his the next time he wants to use it.
All right. At that moment, you hear the flapping of very large wings.
Uh-oh.
Cookie tries to get up. Let's see if he is able to stand. And he manages to stand up. And so that was his movement in action. So it is Ishmael's turn. And Ishmael hits with a 19. He does another max damage. 11 points of damage. Cookie is looking pretty beat up. All right. And now we add in, you see a shadow coming over you. You hear very large wings, and you look up into the night sky to see a large brown bird descending upon you. And it is dark enough that you can't get a real clear look at it. So give me a quick perception or knowledge nature.
Gotcha. I do have
whichever one you want to use.
Nature. As a natural 20, I know it doesn't matter, but natural 20 on nature with a +2, so 22.
Okay, so you see this large bird, and it's some sort of giant eagle, but it doesn't look quite right. As it comes descending in, it seems to be missing parts. What you see is like part of a bird skull, and it's missing its left eye, and there are spots of feathers that seem to be missing around the chest. And so then the smell hits you. And you smell undeath. You smell necrotic magic. And it comes in. It manages to grab and grapple Cookie and lift him up. So you all get a reaction.
Cookie's looking pretty beat up, right?
Yeah, Cookie is pretty beat up.
I see the way that this is going, and I also... It's been a while since I've stared undeath in the face. I never got to see the necromancer that released the plague that caused me so much strife. So I'm just going to step forward and plant my feet, taking advantage of the fact that this bird is flying so that I will not hit the deck. I'm going to cast Thunder Wave.
Oh, very nice.
And my goal is I don't think that I'm going to be able to take out this bird, but if I can't interrogate Cookie, I can sure as heck not let him get back to the people he works for. And so as I come forward, throw down and say, "I saw the light!" As my mandolin strikes and a wave of thunder comes hurtling towards them. And I have just enough slots to... I will cast that at the 3rd level. That is a 14 con save for the bird and for Cookie.
All right. We'll do the bird first. And The bird rolls a 9 and does not save. And Cookie rolls a 15 and does save.
Okay.
And so how much damage is it?
It is 4d8 because I did it at 3rd level. That is 7, 10 total, 12 total, and an 8. So that is 20 points of thunder damage, halved to 10 for Cookie. And he is also, I'll let you decide what this means, pushed. Oh, no, wait, he is not pushed because he saved his Constitution saving throw. But the bird is.
All right.
Yeah.
The bird crashes into one of the side sails and is wrapped up in ropes and netting. And Cookie is hanging there along, just holding onto the claws. He is looking terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, we are going to pause combat.
Okay.
And Ishmael is going to run over and grab the netting ropes for the sail, the solar sail, and twist it. And it kind of wraps up the eagle and Cookie so that they are not in danger of falling and they cannot get away.
Excellent. And I, well, obviously, the thunder wave can be heard. So anyone who is conscious, which probably isn't very many, will certainly have heard that. But I will run to just help secure the ropes, basically assist him, and make sure that most importantly, I was expecting Cookie to die, but since he's been kind enough to not die, I want to make sure that he is secured so that we can interrogate him.
All right. So they are secured. Ishmael goes, "What did they do to the crew? What happened to the captain? They're all unconscious."
We have all except you, we have all been infected. We have all been given some kind of plague. I have no doubt. I have experience with these kind of things. And I'm going to turn towards Cookie. Is he conscious?
No, he is not conscious.
I am going to first ensure that he is tightly bound.
Okay.
So I don't know if you need me to check or anything, but first I'm going to make sure he's tightly bound, and then I am going to do a medicine check to see, or actually, I'm going to do a medicine check to see if I can bring him to consciousness.
Okay. He made his first death saving throw.
Okay.
So, yes, you are able to wake him up. And he is kind of dangling there, wrapped up against this dead eagle that is struggling, but not really struggling because its wings are pinned and its legs are pinned and wrapped up.
You are a fool, I say to him.
And he looks up at you. His eyes are bleary. He's got blood coming out of his nose and his mouth. And he goes, "Ha, ha, 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 ha. You have no idea what is coming. You shall be food."
You don't know what you've done, do you? You fool, you think you're talking to me. You're not talking to me. You're talking to the Minotaur. And I kind of glance over my shoulder and then look back at him, kind of push up my iron spectacles and say, I know you've been on this ship with him, but you don't know him like I do. I was lying when I said that I'd never met one before. It's because I didn't want him to know that I know what Minotaur do to people like you. Do you know how long he can keep you alive while he eats you from the feet down? Do you know why there are so many stories of Minotaurs and mazes? Because they like to play with their food. So you got one chance. You got one chance, and I'm it. Either you tell me where you were heading, or I let the Minotaur have his dinner, and I think he would love a nice cookie. And I want to make a intimidation check.
Please do.
That is a 13 with intimidation of 4 for a 17.
That's pretty good. Problem is, Cookie is not afraid of death.
Yep.
And Cookie just looks at the Minotaur and goes, "This is life. We know what it's like to be on the food chain. And we know in death that we serve the one who cannot be named." And so he is absolutely not saying anything yet.
Okay.
And roll me a Constitution saving throw, please.
All right. That is an 11 plus 1 for 12.
All right. For the moment, that is good. You needed a 10. It will go up in a little bit to a 15. So you are feeling bad.
Mm-hmm.
You are starting to feel real bad. You've had a little bit of an immunity because you survived it before, but this was a magically induced, and so you are not immune.
Gotcha.
So you need to figure out what you're going to do. And the others, you hear moans, and you don't know if everybody is alive or not.
Gotcha. Well, I think that there's something that I can do, but I need to take a long rest before I do so. What I say to Ishmael is, would there be a way to toss this eagle overboard wrapped up so that it simply plummets to its doom?
The Minotaur gives you a toothy grin full of fangs and snarled teeth and pulls out a large knife and starts cutting the rope and unties it from a belaying club, and you hear the spinning of a pulley as that netting drops away from the ship, and Cookie and the eagle plummet down thousands and thousands of feet and go splat.
Now, did he send the bird or did he send Cookie as well?
They were wrapped up together.
Well, I really don't have any spells because my charm person is unlikely to get me what I want, and I really don't have another spell that would help with it. There's something I might be able to do tomorrow to help me, but I don't know if that's it's certainly not going to help get any information. So
roll me an intelligence saving throw.
Okay. That is a 1 with a bonus of 1 for 2.
Oh, poor Elias. Poor Elias. All right. You're struggling to stay on your feet. Ishmael starts carrying people to their bunks, and let's see if he rolls an intelligence. And he rolled an 8 plus nothing. So he rolled a straight 8.
He wasn't poisoned, though, was he?
No, he's trying to figure things out.
Oh, gotcha. Put things together. Yeah.
You and him, you're the only ones conscious, and so you all are trying to figure things out, how to save yourselves. The ship, the steering wheel is lashed, so it's traveling in a straight line. You're still 4 days away from the capital city. You're not a navigator, so you don't know how far to any other cities or towns. Roll me another Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That is a 10 plus 1, so 11. Just a little.
Okay. You are starting to feel the full effects. You now have 1 level of exhaustion. And your skin is burning. You are starting to get a fever. What are you going to do?
So what I want to do is, with Cookie go splat, I want to do an investigation check and go into his bunk and go through his things and see if I can find anything, particularly any communication, but anything that has a location or a name is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Roll me an investigation check.
Okay. That is a 6 with a investigation of 4 for a 10.
Yeah. From what you know, lizard folk don't have a lot of personal attachments. They don't carry a lot of stuff, and what you find in his bunk is just stuff. Nothing, no reading materials. There's some sort of cookbook. But other than that, there's not much in the way of personal items. You find a small bag of 10 gold pieces. You find some chef's spices, but that's about it.
And do I find anything that would indicate like the poison that he used or the plague or anything like that?
Roll me another intelligence check. Straight intelligence.
Yeah, now we're back at it. That's a 1. So for a 2, I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good.
Yeah, you're not feeling good. Let's see what the first mate can do. Oh, the first mate does a little bit better, and comes up to you and looks at you and says, "It's the plague," and turns around and goes and pulls the big wooden handle in the middle of the deck. And the crates of magical remedy, elixir, raise up through the floor.
So, do you think that this will help us? And if we do take it, are we taking from the ability for them to heal others in the other land?
Well, there's 6 crates. There should be enough.
Good point. And also, we're not going to do much good if we're dead before we get there and this ship crashes.
Yeah. So he opens one of the crates and pulls out one of. There's 9 bottles in each crate, packed carefully. So he pulls out one and goes and gets the little cups, making sure to rinse them out with the ale, and pours the elixir in and gives it to you.
I take it without hesitation for the second time, hoping that I'm being a little more intelligent this time.
Okay. Roll me a Constitution check.
That is, it was cocked. That is a 17 plus 1, so 18.
You feel better almost immediately. It takes about 5 minutes of sweats, but you start feeling better. And so you give Ishmael the nod, and the two of you start going and pouring a shot down each of the crew members' gullets, and within about an hour, they start coming back to consciousness. Ishmael tells you to get some rest and stands watch and goes up to wait on the deck and guide the ship. So you all sleep for another half day, and it isn't till mid-afternoon that anybody is feeling up to standing up and walking around.
Mm-hmm. I try to do what I can, since I was slightly less affected than others, but I'm probably not much better, and I have to rest, otherwise my exhaustion will just get worse. So I do finally collapse.
And so you rest, and the rest of the day is uneventful. The next day you get up. The captain, though pale, and as well as the kobolds, are very pale. They are all back at work and smiling, and Ishmael has filled them in on everything that happened, and that it had been their own cook that had betrayed them. And it turns out that Cookie had been with them for several years. And so the captain sends a carrier pigeon back to the City of Cliffs to tell everybody to check their crew members for the eye with a slash through it, for clothing, for tattoos, for anything like that. Because if their ship was compromised, that means anybody's ship could be compromised. And so with the information that you have shared with them and the experience, you've probably saved a lot of lives. And so the captain comes up and just thanks you weakly, just because they're feeling terrible, and they go ahead and pass around another shot of the bottle of elixir remedy, and to make sure that everybody is fully cured, because they have no idea how much is needed. And by the end of the third day, everybody is feeling pretty much back to 100%.
And I try to, as much as I can, do a Song of Rest to help facilitate their recovery.
And it just makes the rest of the ship crew and their travel that much better. They are relaxed. They are thankful. They're surprised that the food that the kobolds are fixing is edible and is not as good as what Cookie had fixed for the last 6 years that he had been part of the crew. Because apparently Cookie was an excellent cook. Mm-hmm. And the kobolds are not. And so even the captain takes a turn trying to cook up some decent meal, but they're suspicious of all the ingredients for fear of what might be on board, so they don't fix anything fancy in case it might be contaminated. So at sunrise on the 5th day, you are called to the top deck to stand with the captain and Terius and Ulsus, as you look out over what has to be the largest city that you have ever seen. In the middle of this river delta, surrounded on all sides by rivers and fishing villages and farms, you see a multi-tiered walled city with a giant ziggurat pyramid standing in the middle of it. And the captain says, "Welcome to the capital, Decapolis, Kirisk Torpolis. Welcome to the city of people." And that's where we're going to end this chapter of Chafing Armor podcast. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much. That was an absolute blast.
I was afraid you weren't going to survive there for a minute. You had some bad rolls there at the end.
I was shocked at the beginning of this how well I was rolling, and then it was like, oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh, I was worried for our poor boy Elias.
Yeah.
With the, you were on a trip to take the medical remedy, and I was worried that I kept hoping the intelligence check, and it didn't work out. Yep. Fortunately, the Minotaur finally figured it out.
Yep.
So,
I'm glad.
Thank you for playing tonight.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. I loved it, and I loved playing this character, and I loved taking a little DMing break.
And so we will be continuing this adventure. I will be not in this form. This actually takes place about 5 years in the past, right before our previous champions, Penton and Tix and all the rest, went out to battle. And before their adventure began, this happened. So we were going back a little bit in time. And when we begin again in a few weeks, our new adventurers, will be adventuring in the Decapolis and having all new experiences. Thank you, everybody. You can find us on patreon.com/Chafing Armor, where Michael has some great role-playing. We have lots of content for you. We would love for you to come and support what we do so that we can give you more content and more role-playing adventures. And we have artwork and all sorts of possibilities when you join our group. Where else can they find us, Michael?
Well, they can definitely find us, as you said, on Patreon. But you can also find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on several other places. The great thing about Chafing Armor is there's nothing else named it. So if you put in Chafing Armor, there's a really good chance it'll pop right up. Even a Facebook group that's got a lot of great comments.
And we will scratch your itch for role-playing fantasy. Good night, everyone.
Take care.